Hello, welcome back, guys. We're continuing with the tutorial 2b. Uh, so remember what we said in the previous tutorial. The empty lines don't affect how the program runs at all. So here's an empty line, here's another empty line, and neither of these empty lines affect how the program runs at all. If you want, you can add a couple more empty lines at the end. It won't change a thing. Okay, so the program will do exactly the same thing. So the third thing I want to cover is using namespace std. So you see this stuff here. So what is this? This line lets us use standard C++ features like cout without needing to type longer things like say std colon colon cout. So you could write it like this, but once you say using namespace std, you don't have to say that. So in Python, you never have to say using namespace std, etc. This line of code alone simply just works. But in C++, you have to say using namespace std if you want to use this thing called cout, which is a function. And in order to, which is sort of like a function in Python, which is sort of like the print function in Python. Print is a function. So we have cout, and so in order to use cout, so like print something, so you're using that function, right, in Python. Similarly, cout, you're using it to do something. So in order to use cout, you need to say using namespace std. So the keyword std, as you might imagine, stands for standard, as in the standard library. It's a big collection of tools that C++ provides by default. We'll dive deeper into namespaces later. For now, know this line just saves us from typing extra stuff every time. If you have ever learned C or other programming languages, then you'll know that they all have their own conventions, and they all have their own rules on how you have to write programs. And so only by following the rules will C++ run your program. And if you fail to follow some rules, then your program will simply not run, right? So, a note on Python. So if you ever learned Python, you know that you can do exactly the same thing with just a single line of code. And that's why I like the Python programming language a lot, because you can write more compact code. And print hello world in Python simply says that you should print whatever string that has been passed to the function, which is hello world, to the output, right? So that is how Python does it, but in C++ you have to include all this other stuff. So now we come to the heart of the program, the main function. So we have this function int main, and then we have two comments. Anything after slash slash is a comment, and it's just ignored by C++. So the first line really is cout less than hello world less than endl, right? And then after that it's return 0, and then it's close curly brace. So every C++ program starts with a function named main, even in if you have barely ever programmed in C++, you know this. And when the program runs, it begins right here, okay? And then it just executes each line of code one by one. And then what the program does in each line is what we call the behavior of the program. Now, int here, it means that this function returns an integer, which is a number. Main is the name of the function, so this is the name of the function, and this is what it returns. So you first write what it returns, and then you write the name of the function. And then these are the parentheses, which enclose the body of the function. Everything inside these is what the program actually does, okay? And inside the main function, you'll write statements, that is things like this and this. These are instructions for the computer, and each statement ends with a semicolon, as you might see here. So it is just like ending a sentence with a period. So that is it for tutorial 2b. I'll be back with more tutorials in the 2 series. I was expecting to wrap it up in 2 tutorials, but it looks like it'll take more. So I'll come back and give you a nice analogy for what a function is. So in the meantime, take care, guys, and see you guys again next time.